40. And
It's always.
he got quarantined on the ship. And, I think, Wednesday, she said, he'll get a little better, go back.
That ain't good at all. Hey, thank you.
All right, everybody, we'll get started here in just 1 second. Hey, Madam Attorney, I got no speaker here. We're just gonna go old school. Okay, sure. good evening, everybody. Today is Thursday, September 12th, 2024. This is the City of Camilla budget hearing, the final budget hearing of this season, this budget season. We are here in the Honorable Mary Jo Haywood Council Chambers on the first floor at City Hall. And at this time, I'd like to turn to our City Clerk, Assistant City Manager, Cheryl Ford, to call the roll, please.
Councilman Burley.
Here.
Councilman Morgan.
Here.
Councilman Collins.
Here.
Councilman Thomas.
Here.
All right, thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Council. At this time, I'd like to ask our City Manager, Dennis Stroud, to lead the prayer, please.
It'll be my pleasure, Mr. Mayor. So Father God, we thank you once again for this opportunity to sit and do the things that we're supposed to do for the city. God, I pray that you guide our mind, guide our hearts, guide our thoughts. God, we thank you right now. In Jesus' mighty name we do pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you, Mr. Dennis.
Yes, sir.
All right, so at this time, council, is there a motion to approve the agenda for this evening?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion to proper second, any discussion? All right, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, council. All right, at this time, do we have any speaker appearances?
Don Gray, from Old Chamber Car.
Sir, how you doing?
Fine, and you?
Done. You got that little green button on? That's it. Yes, sir, just press it, hold it down.
It's going good.
Oh, you good, yes, sir. Yeah, put it towards you. There you go. Thank you.
Don Gray, from Old Chamber of Commerce. I sent in a proposal, and Cheryl was supposed to share it with all of you, and I'm going to answer questions about any of this if you have it.
All right.
Is the parade scheduled for December 8th?
No, it's not. We are checking on some, we don't have conflicts. The industrial floats, if there's a conflict with that, we lose all that in the parade. I mean, something, like the forestry. They don't have one that they try to make all the parades. So we're trying to make sure of conflict out there. So, the 5th is lighting night. If I'm not mistaken, that's your lighting of the tree issue.
Yeah, what we'll do, if you have it scheduled for the 5th, we'll have it for another day.
Yeah, we've already started publicity on that.
That's fine.
It started weeks ago.
You did. We'll change that.
What kind of data you thinking it might, if you don't know?
Well, we're looking for a Tuesday or Thursday. The band director and is going to talk to him tomorrow. And we're reaching out to some other people to come. The one reason, especially with the Christmas party, that having this kind of done ahead of time, if we get a date and we stick with it, the first Monday, the second Thursday, if we get on the calendar of everybody, we can promote it then. We can get state free with the festivals and everything. It didn't cost anything. They do something similar to our. There are publications that go out with the state. The other reason to have these dates like this go out to Christmas parade, we can help send our local bands to participate in other cities, and in return, we can have them back. We could grow the parade that way.
When is Pelham having theirs?
They're the first Tuesday.
First Tuesday.
Did the bank come rush you?
They did not come much. We've already started as a motion.
Now, well, I'm hoping that, and now let me say to you and to the board of the chamber, to, for lack of better words, rekindle this relationship as it relates to the council and the chamber, especially when you consider some of these events that are there. Some of these are new, some of them are the same deal.
You said the cupcakes for Santa was a success. Can you kind of like?
It was tied in last year to Christmas umbrella, Christmas umbrella, and it was very successful. It's gonna be a standalone. We had a lot of kids and parents who couldn't make it because of school, so we decided to do it on a Sunday afternoon.
Okay.
You know, we got feedback. We felt that we would have more attendance.
Okay.
Yes, it was a big success. But you know, we're working on this, so the parade, we're actually gonna have, we're gonna break a little tradition. We got Mr. and Miss Santa for the parade this year. And they're gonna be in a convertible, and it's gonna be loaded in the back. So, we look at that.
And council, what recommend, obviously this equates to the $15,000 that we talked about. And I would also, listen, I've said this before, that the partnership with the chamber, I think when we're talking about moving forward, is a good thing.
Well, you know, my board has been very progressive this year. You know, we're doing a lot of outreach, wide outreach, trying to be very inclusive of our neighbors, areas that don't have chambers. We're doing some work with Baker County. It's that mindset that we're all gonna do better together.
Sure.
And I'm bringing that to the city, that's what the chamber's all about. We feel that we're all better together.
Indeed.
Good.
And, so council, if we approve this amount inside of the budget, what I would ask the chamber to do is for us to kind of go back to what we did before, meaning, to have a formal agreement, if you will. The money will be allocated, obviously, that the budget has this evening. This is not, $15,000 is not in last year's budget. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that. So I think it's a good thing. And if it passes tonight, we'll get in touch with you sometime. You can, if it passes tonight, you can operate as if we have a signed deal. But if it passes, then, you know,
And the contract won't be drawn.
indeed, okay, good deal. All right, council, anything else for Don, or the chamber?
Thank you very much. Look
Appreciate
forward to working with y'all.
Yes, sir, thank you.
So have a good night.
You too.
We have an after hours going on till 7 o'clock at the chamber. It's Sanders and Company's 25th year, and she's rebranded herself. The business is being rebranded, so you should get out 4/7, stop by.
Indeed, appreciate you, sir, thank you. Any other speaker appearances? Hearing none, we'll move right into, our public hearing, fiscal year 2024, 2025, budget. And Madam Attorney, was it your advice that we open up for the public first and then get to the, city manager and CFO, or in reverse?
It should be either way, and how to be, this just a matter of your preference. It's not a requirement, legal requirement. So whatever the council, mayor and council prefer.
Council, any objection to let, city manager and CFO do their thing, and any citizens want to talk after that? Okay. All right, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. From our last meeting, with all our meetings, rather, budget hearing 1 and 2, but in particular 2, we were tasked to obviously move the election specialist to the clerk's budget. We've done all that. We moved McCree Hall from the URA to the general fund. We changed the cooling station to inclement weather stations. We removed the funding from removed library funding under ARPA. We added the Mitchell County Service Center, 5,000. We increased the Black History under the downtown events to 5,500. And then, of course, we adjusted salaries back in customer service. That was the latest that we got from budget hearing number 2. And our final budget numbers are $49,653,999 even. Subject to your questions.
Any questions for city manager?
I have one question. I was looking at the URA. Let's go see the McNeil building on that line item there. It's up under the revenue as well as the operating expense.
The McNeil building is, you said McNeil, right?
Yes, McNeil building.
Okay, I'm looking at URA. Is that what you're looking?
Yes. It's line item 58470.
What page are you on, Mr. Mayor, Pro Tem?
The
Page at bottom, page number.
It should be the very last page.
Very last page in the book. You have the revenue and also expense.
So you're talking about the McNeil building?
Yes, is that,
Yeah, so
that was supposed to be, I think we talked about that last time, that it wasn't supposed to be into the URA.
So that was McCree. That was McCree. That was McCree, but you are correct.
Yeah.
McNeil also was not conveyed
Conveyed to the.
to the URA.
Okay, so we're gonna take the McNeil building and put that, take it from the URA and put back where it was previously. Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor Posey. Move that.
Mr. City Manager, why don't we have a expense in on the school's restaurant?
You remember, Councilman, we talked about that in budget hearing number 1. Right now, I can track some expenses, but I can't do necessarily for revenue, so we ask that we list it this way and come back with an amendment probably in 3 or 4 months. And that way I can see some kind of the way schools is gonna be operating.
Well, I see expenses over in the other part of the budget.
But I can't give you the revenues to balance it.
Well, I understand that.
And I think over the course, so Scores has been open, I want to say less than roughly six to 10 nights operating, if you will. And clearly, and I think even on the expense side of the house, that would be fairly difficult to, other than the expenses that it takes to, within this fiscal year to give it up and run. I'm just curious, what page is that, when we're talking about Scores expenses? Council Palmer, if you don't mind.
Well, they're in the general budget, or whether the, expenses go.
Page 7.
Page 7. Thank you.
Under general.
On the general. I'm showing $10,000 was budgeted, $47,699.47 was spent.
Yeah, if we're talking about, so I have 10,000 in fiscal '24, but nothing in '25. So I just want to make sure that we're all, on the same sheet of music here. So if we budgeted 10,000 from last October 1st, no, take that back. That's 10,000 for fiscal year 23-24, ending September 30th of this year. That number seems pretty round. It would be almost impossible with literally no historical data to build from. So, starting with 10,000, I mean, that works, but surely nothing to talk about historically for revenue. So again, as the city manager mentioned, that makes sense. Hopefully, within the second quarter of the new fiscal year, we should have a pretty good idea how revenue is tracking and how expenses are tracking. And when I say expenses, I'm talking about the operating expenses as it relates to labor and inventory, and balancing that against the revenue that's coming in the door. So, for obvious reasons, we're not able to do that. Football season just started. It's going to be a different deal when we move into another sports season. So we just got to get some data on our belt first before we do that.
Mr. City Manager, why is the Urban Redevelopment Authority even in the city budget to start with? The council has no say so over that.
Well,
Go ahead. Frank.
well, you allocate funding for it. And so, since you allocate some funding to come back here, I gotta have a means of tracking.
And I want to correct Councilman on something. He said that the city has absolutely nothing to do with it. I disagree. The city created the CDA. We have no word in how you guys operate in terms of the decisions that you make as a CDA beyond what is legally required. The CDA is still responsible as a subcomponent of this government. You still have to follow the open meetings and open records and all the laws that this city has to follow. But more than that, we are invested in the decisions that you were created specifically for the forward motion of the city. So we have a vested interest. Hence the reason why the mayor and city manager are ex officio members of that board.
We're talking about the URA, not the city development.
Oh, no.
The city development authority is not in this budget.
Excuse me, well, yes, sir, you guys are the CDA, two things. The CDA is incorporated in the audit that we do every single year.
That's on the old.
Indeed. The URA, as you recall, unlike the CDA, we have an intergovernmental agreement, as the city manager just pointed out, that you fund, or the city council funds, what happens with the URA. We don't have that agreement with the CDA. So because of that, the URA is part of this particular budget, because this council, when they created it, created a revenue stream and a direct revenue stream of $200,000, I believe.
Yes, sir.
And then also, because of the intergovernmental agreement that we have with the city of Camilla through personnel, equipment, and resources will also help to facilitate the mission of the URA. So that's why it's in this budget. All right. Any other questions regarding URA? Or any other aspect of the budget?
At this time too, I'd like to just re-add or rediscuss the child care funding proposals. It's from the last session. And again, discussing 65. I know I had a range 50 to 75, but 65,000 out of the uncommitted ARPA
Yes, sir.
child care system.
Okay, okay. Certainly, we can do that. That's what you want, that's recommendation of the body, I can do that easily. 65?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, what it would be is understood, because again, anybody sitting around this day has the opportunity to insert or recommend any funding, if you will. The ratification will come obviously at the overall budget. So again, I just want to make sure everybody understands that every elected official sitting around this table has the ability to add a line item. And I'll talk about that a little bit more when we get towards the voting piece, but yeah, so 65K,
Yes, sir.
that's on the ARPA.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any other questions or comments regarding the budget? Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Knight.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Lisa. All right, at this time, any member of the public, please feel free to come up and speak on the public of the fiscal year budget. And at this time, we'll open up the public hearing for that purpose. Floor is now open. It's now open. For any citizen. For any citizen related to the fiscal year 24-25 budget. Anybody out in the hallway? All right, hearing none, the public hearing for the public for the fiscal year 2024-2025 budget is closed. All right, council. All right, council, at this time, with the city manager, the CFO, having briefed us on this budget, 3 budget hearings, by the way, related to this. We've reached one of the agenda where we will discuss approving it. So at this time, council, is there a motion to approve resolution number 2024-09-12-1, a resolution setting the budget for fiscal year 2024-2025, whereas the city of Camilla, by through its mayor and council, has duly advertised notice of the 2024-2025 budget, public hearings, and whereas the city has further held such hearings as required by law, and whereas the mayor and council have received public input on the budget for the 2024-2025 fiscal year, and upon due consideration and deliberation, the city hereby resolves to set its budget for said 2024-2025 fiscal year in an amount of $49,653,999 even. there a motion to approve the resolution?
Motion to approve. Second.
Have a motion properly second, any discussion? Yes, sir.
I won't be voting in favor of this budget because we put funding in the library in the amount of 40,000 and we've seen fit to spend $500,000 on a bar and restaurant. I think that's got our priorities flipped around. And that's why I'm not going to vote for it.
Yes, sir. Any other comments? All right, to Councilman, Collins' point, and this is extremely interesting, for me. Because also in this budget, there's a raise for our police officers, our firefighters, children, all of our employees. This is a $49 million, almost a $50 million budget. And if I'm hearing the councilman correctly, that $40,000 is what's standing between him and the other $49,620,000, of which will create a continued maintenance of a new community resource center for our children, a new gym for our children, one of the largest pay raises that we've had for our police officers and firefighters, for raise for our standard employees, funding that keeps our streets safe, funding that keeps our vehicles that go out to the down power line when the weather knocks them down. That is interesting. As it relates to the priorities of the city, there's an old saying that if you want to see the priorities of a city, they say, show me your budget. And in our budget, you will see that we have the continuing and perpetual care of our roads, our cemetery, our parks, our entire public safety team, and more. I think our priorities are spot on. I think we may disagree. Apparently, in this case, $25,000, the difference between $15,000 and $40,000. But this is one of the reasons why I asked the city manager and the chief financial officer and our city attorney to prepare a second resolution, if you will, to keep us with our current budget for the previous fiscal year. It is a formality, if you will, because I believe that our budget just automatically does that, whether we do anything or not. But we're going to also have that on display too this evening. In the last 2 years, we've had 2 of our council members, specifically from District 2, vote against this budget. In one instance, and I think I'm quoting here, it's not worth the paper that it's written on. In those 2 years, the city of Camilla has been recognized as one of 9 states in this state, one of 9 cities in this state to be designated a visionary city. That's by Georgia Trend Magazine and Georgia Municipal Association, an organization that this city is part of. Just yesterday or 2 days ago, the state once again came back to the city of Camilla, and we're going to be one of probably less than 20 that has been designated for the next 3 years as a planned first city. Now, how do you become a planned first city? That designation is so important. We're going to be going to the state capitol. I got to make a note on that because I'm trying to see who all going to be part of that trip, because The only way you become a Plan First city is that you demonstrate that you do what you said you was gonna do in your comprehensive plan. In order to do that, you have to fund it. So I'm gonna be curious to see who's gonna be on the trip when we go up to see the governor for being a Plan First city. If they never voted for the thing that funded the stuff that got us that designation in the first place. That's gonna be interesting. For 2 years in a row, we've had the Department of Audits and our independent auditor say that our budget and our audit has been clean. 2 years in a row. The designation I just talked about, Visionary City, Plan First, CDBG, we just found out 10 days ago that we're getting $1 million in CDBG funding. You don't get when you put in the CDBG funding, one of the things that they do is look at how you did the last CDBG you did. Did you do all the auditing requirements and all those things? I just got a letter from that saying that we did. So it appears that everybody other than 2 council members, apparently, because I haven't heard from Councilman Palmer, has issues with the budget as submitted. But when you go outside this dais, we keep getting recognition for it. At some point, especially in 3 years in a row, that's not about policy anymore, in my mind. That's something else. But as we've done in the last 2 years, and I suspect what we'll do in this coming year, we will continue to succeed as we normally have. I sincerely hope and I'm glad that the record is clear. There was a mention of $25,000 deficit for the library as one of the reasons for not signing off on this budget. And the creation of, by all accounts, a revenue generating entity like scores. And I think that will bear itself out here sooner rather than later. As mayor, and I'm gonna close with this. As mayor, when you consider all of the things that we have achieved in the last 2 years, where myself and the District 1 council members have voted for the last 2 budgets, and the amount of recognition and funding that those actions have brought to this city. Even though we did it by ourselves. I wonder, and I consider that to be one hand tied behind our back, one arm tied behind our back. What in the world do you think we would have accomplished if we could have operated either with supermajority or even better as it relates to the budget with this entire council? The things that this city has achieved, just us 4, I wonder what else we could have achieved with the remainder of this council. But the good news is, I enjoy sharing with the public the good things that are happening, with this city. And we will continue, to do that. So, as I mentioned earlier, and Madam Clerk, Mr. City Manager, one of the things that we didn't have in this budget last year, and I specifically said that for a reason, is the chamber, is the chamber stuff. That's not in the previous deal, so even if we move, which we will anyway, assuming we don't get 4 votes here tonight, what we just discussed with Don doesn't happen, because there's no money for it. We got the chamber coming in here ready to, for what I can tell, rejoin, and for us to finally start trying to operate as one unit. And the very first action of what I consider to be an olive branch, my words is to slap his hand away. But that'll be indicated in the votes here tonight. So I just want to make sure that we're clear on that. Councilman Collins, there is a line item in here for $160,000 to paint the water tower. Last year, I wanted it out of there, and we took it out. But what I said at that particular time, because it's something that you obviously brought up, I said, if we don't have it in last year's budget, we'll put it in this year's budget. That's why it's there. I don't want it there, but that's what we talked about. So for me, it would have been worth voting for.
You don't like safe water?
I do. Mr. City Manager, excuse me, but correct me if I'm wrong, but there are no reports here today that says that our water has been compromised in that water tower.
Negative, Mr. Mayor, the only thing that we had was, it was scouting on the outside. This was strictly cosmetic. It was nothing internal.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Well, you know, and I get it. That is, the sensationalism. I'm a well-read mayor, Mr. Councilman. And when you say that kind of stuff, you got to make sure your facts are right, sir. That's just not true. But yeah, go ahead.
This is, to me, it's kind of disheartening to me. I appreciate the CFO and the city manager for doing what they did for the past 3. This is our 3rd budget hearing. And all of us got a chance to add, take away. And just before the city manager closed this report, he asked, is there anything else you like? Now, Councilman Morgan just came from Opera and added that child care thing. If we wanted to add something, we had the opportunity. But just to come to this final hearing and just abruptly just say you're not going to support it just because of an investment that we've made, and there are going to be updates when these revenues and expenses come together, I just don't understand. And I wish that we could reconsider this. Individuals have gotten raised, first responders have gotten raised, so, what are we going to do from here? It's nothing, it shouldn't be nothing political, or we dislike certain things. There were some things in here that I didn't like, but at the end of the day, I grew to like them. They're getting funded. Our first responders are getting raises. Our employees are getting raises. And we always want to kick back on certain things, but it just doesn't add up to me. And we, as legislative men and governing men, we should come together and see just how serious this is. And I yield back.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to call those threats, they were very, very comforting. As far as the budget, I agree with Councilman Collins. on what you said earlier, and, as far as the employees, there is way more than the 3% code for the employees, which is probably 100,000 or better, somewhere in that neighborhood, of unfunded, items in this budget that could be used for their, raise. So that is not a true fact that, they won't get a raise. It's if we want to give it to them, the money is there, is what I'm saying. So the city manager, I think, could, go back over this budget and find $100,000 that was not funded.
Mr. Councilman, I hear what you're saying, and I'm trying to battle in my mind, where is the threats?
I just heard 10 minutes threats on this end of the table over here.
What threats?
Well, I'm not going into detail.
Okay, I'm just saying,
You heard it just like I did.
I mean, what I was hearing was things that we were doing. If it's things that we are doing is a threat, I mean, therefore, again, I don't understand.
Well, actually, I do know Mayor Pro Tem.
All right.
What I understand is, because you're absolutely right, when I talk about the achievements that have been recognized around the state, I think some folks consider that a threat. The forward motion of this city is a threat to some. And I hope that the public just witnessed something that was astonishing as a legislator. You just had a council member default a policy-making decision. The budget is the largest policy document that we have. And just defer that to the appointed chief administrator. If the chief administrator, who doesn't make any policy, wants to find money in the budget to give raises, when two council members are saying that they're not going to vote for the budget that gives them said raises, I just said that respectfully. One of the oddest things legislatively that I've ever heard in my legislative life. But the Mayor Pro Tem made another good point a moment ago relating to how we as a city, how we as a council are supposed to collaborate and move together. It appears that some are saying if there's elements of the budget that I don't like, and by my math, $500,000 plus $25,000. It's $525,000. $500,000, 25. I'm going to divide that by 49 million. If you only do that at home, you want to grab the calculator. We've got council members that are saying, I'm going to vote against this budget because of 1%. What's in it? Because I don't want the 1%. The other 99% of the budget has to go away. It's astonishing.
Call for the question.
Stand down, sir. You do not have the floor. What I want, and I'm sure some folks really want this to end, but now I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit more. I agree with what appears, the council members are saying here, the District 2 folks here, is that I disagree with 1% of the budget. So I'm gonna throw the other 99% out. Where do you, as a council, try to reconcile that? I don't think you can. But I want to remind the public, I suspect if we go ahead and operate under the 23-24 budget, and again, everybody, don't trip on that, don't sweat that. Our charter anticipates that. It's in our charter. Everything will still continue to move. But it appears that when we do get to the 24-25 budget, and assuming when we have a full cadre of council members, well, since we have to vote on the new budget anyway, then I think at that particular point, a majority of the council can have a conversation about what's in this current budget and what's currently being funded. So I look forward to that second conversation as it relates to this budget. All right. Council, again, the motion on the floor. Is there anybody here who would like to offer a substitute motion? See, if you don't agree with the budget as presented, legislatively, you have the right to offer something different. Any council member will offer a substitute motion. All right. Hearing none. Again, council, you are voting on resolution number 2024-09-12-1. Resolution setting the budget for fiscal year 2024-2025 in the amount of $49,653,999. We have a motion that's been properly seconded. Madam Clerk, this will be a roll call vote.
Councilman Barley,
Yes.
Councilman Morgan,
Yes.
Councilman Collins,
No.
Councilman Palmer,
No.
All right, motion fails. Thank you, council. Madam Attorney, quick question for you. We have this resolution here to continue with 23-24, but it's my understanding that with this in our charter that's already passed the legislature, that automatically kicks in with or without this resolution. Just want to get your thoughts on that.
You know, you're absolutely correct. I'm reading this in our section 6.26 of our charter, and it says that if the budget is not approved or adopted, then it shall be deemed, the current budget shall automatically be deemed, I insert the word automatically, but it shall be deemed to be the existing budget from month to month. So no formal action is required. If you want to make a pro forma vote for that to happen, you can, but it happens by operational law by virtue of that charter provision.
Okay, so council, what I'm going to do is just simply by virtue of the vote that was just taken, the city manager, Lisa, our CFO, you would just operate starting October 1 under the current budget that we're operating in.
Yes, sir.
All right, council. Just have a council, it appears that we've reached the end of our agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Lisa, I appreciate your work on this.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir.